Hello everyone. I receive a lot of emails and questions about the setup, the relation between the FCS reflector and the Wires-X network. I did explain that in the past. I think for me it was simple, but just imagine someone that is completely new in amateur radio or completely new in digital communication. For some of us doing D-Star and DMR and Fusion already understand the basic principle about digital communication. But that's not the case for everyone. So this video is actually explaining the basics and then explaining the FCS reflector and the difference between Wires-X network and all that it's communicating together. So this is the goal of this video. So I hope that will help some newcomers to understand all the video that we do here at Laboenligne.ca, especially the latest one that we made, which is showing the cross mode and the Wires-X network and everything in the same video. That one, when I watch it again and over again, I tell myself, if I was a new operator, would I understand all of this? And the answer was no. So here's a correction about this. Hope that it will help some people to understand the past video and the future one.
Okay, this is the basic about repeaters. What a repeater does is actually repeat the signal to allow longer distance communication. But first, let me explain that under 30 megahertz, we have frequency which we call HF or short wave. Those waves can be reflected by the atmosphere, well actually part of it, which is called the ionosphere. And we use them to do long distance communication. And there's a lot to say about that, but I won't go there today. I just want to give you an example. If you want something more about this, I can explain in another video. Don't hesitate to go in the comments and ask me, I will do. But today we will concentrate on repeater. The frequency above 30 megahertz goes through the atmosphere, always. What happens is that the signal cannot be reflected, and then the distance is limited to which we call line of sight. What happens is the line of sight is similar to our line of sight of sight. So when we look, if we can see the tower with the antenna, we can get through it. But the RF horizon is a little bit longer than that, but it's still the same principle. So concentrate on the line of sight. So if we have a line of sight situation between the repeater here and the radio, it can go through. But this being the earth, what happens is that when a station is too far away, we cannot have a line of sight, so it doesn't work. So what we do for those frequencies, we do extend the coverage by using repeater. So both stations here can see the repeater, so they can communicate between each other. Look at the repeater frequency. It actually transmits on 448.775 and it receives on 443.775. And the remote station or radio actually do the exact reverse. It is transmitting at 443, which the repeater receives, and it is receiving on 448, which the repeater transmits. So when the repeater receives a signal from this station, it actually repeats it to another frequency that can be received to others. So it repeats the signal between the two stations. And remember, this is the same for digital communication as it is for FM or analog communication. So that's the same thing. So, but what happens if repeaters cannot reach the station? Then we have other ways that I will be showing you on the next slide. Now I will explain the Wires-X network. So, like I said, when two repeaters or two stations that are too far away so they can have a line of sight, we now use the internet to do the connection between those repeaters. So that's where all the devices that I show in my videos come to play. So first, we will concentrate on Yaesu System Fusion with use C4FM. But remember, it is actually the same basics for D-Star, for DMR, and for all other digital modes. So in the example here, the station is too far away to reach that repeater, so he cannot talk to his friend, which is local to that repeater here. So what's going to happen is that the station here had installed a radio which is set up to a simplex frequency. A simplex frequency is actually the same frequency you transmit on then you receive. So there's no repeater involved in that. So it's like more local if you want. So the radio here in Wires-X technology, which is the Yaesu technology to bring together station through the internet, well, the radio here is at the same frequency as the portable radio that is there. So we are in C4FM digital mode. So when this one transmit, when the HT transmit, it's been received through the antenna through the radio here. This radio has a connection to this Wires-X box, which we call the HRI-200. And the connection is through a digital port in the back of the radio. That's not RF, okay? And the information, the data stream, is sent to the PC, which has the Wires-X software. Then what we have is a connection through the internet to the Wires-X server. So you connect to a room, and all the stations that are connected to that room will hear each other like if they were local on the same repeater. But in the example, it has a connection with the server, but the communication can go directly between the two boxes here. And on the other side, we have the same thing. So we have the repeater connected to HRI-200 and the HRI-200, through the PC that do the connection. So what we have is a station here transmitting in the simplex frequency will be catched by this station and be carried around through the internet to be repeated on this local repeater and all the other repeater connected in that room here. And the station here will be able to communicate with the station over there. So if you want something very simple, is just forget about all the device and all the system and everything. Just imagine that there is a link through the internet between the station here and the repeater there, so they can get through the air through the repeater and talk to the local station that are here that are not using the internet in that example. So that is the basic of the Wires-X network, and we'll move on to the other slide. Okay, in this example, what we have is the same thing as the other slide, but actually it's linking two repeaters together. So there's a demonstration. You have a station here that it is transmitting on the same frequency as the repeater that is over there. Here we have another station that is transmitting to this repeater on its frequency. What happened is with Wires-X, once again, we have a connection because they are connected in the same room. So everything that is heard here is retransmitted there. And everything that is heard here, it retransmits there. It's like an extension of your repeater. You can have a personal station that can be connected to it, or you can have a repeater. So what Wires-X does, it actually carries your C4FM communication through the internet, like I showed in the other example. So that is exactly the same. On this slide, we actually remove all the Wires-X network information. Let's imagine that we don't have any Wires-X. We have a reflector system, which is called FCS, that has been created by Thornton DG1HT, that is actually an independent network to carry over the internet different digital mode. It's actually doing D-star, DMR, fusion, DPMR, and everything, okay? So what happened is, in this technology, we have a server that acts as a reflector. Think of it as an internet repeater. It actually retransmit and sending all the data and the information on every station that is connected in the same port, just like the room of Wires-X. But it's another independent system. So the FCS 003 that we have here, it's on port 01. So let's say I have a repeater, which is the same repeater, a local station there, and I did show you two different devices, and that's the only two that can do C4FM right now on FCS that I know of. So there's the Openspot and there's the DV4mini. The DV4mini is set here on a simplex frequency, and it has a small transmitter receiver in there, and the same thing for the Openspot. It's actually two different manufacturers, two different brands, but actually it does the same thing. And this device, which is a USB device that you connect to your computer, is able to receive, if you put it at the same frequency, like in the example there, to receive what you transmit with your radio or your station into it, and then it uses another software, different software for the DV4mini in that case, and it will carry through the internet your signal. Oops, again. It will carry through the internet your signal directly to the FCS server. On the other side, it will receive everything that is over there, and it goes back and forth. And this device here, we don't have a computer because this device is standalone. It does has its own web interface inside that you can configure it, but it's actually the same thing as this one. You can actually take the device here on your left and put it on your right, and the other way around. It will do the same thing, okay? Just a matter of, just for the example, I showed you the two devices. And what happened is that this little device will retransmit, because like the DV4mini, it has a transmitter which is able to act as a radio. But in that case, what it does is actually simulate a local radio with this. There is no connection between the repeater and this device. What it does, it's retransmit at the frequency of the repeater everything it receives from that reflector. And it doesn't matter all the frequency that comes into there, because this is not information that we don't need. It actually just uses everything that is coming on port 1 and retransmit it everywhere. So what happened is that this device, it's emulating a radio like this. So the radio we have here, it's just like if it were local right there. And then it's close to the repeater, like in my case, the device, the DV4mini I use for the link, is actually directly here beside the repeater, so the repeater gets it, even if it's a small power unit, a low power unit, sorry, it's able to connect it and retransmit it over the repeater. And every time it receives a signal, this one receives it as well and can send the signal back to the other user using the DV4mini or the Openspot. So I hope this clears out how it works. In this example, I'm showing all the digital network together, the two digital network that we have for C4FM, which is Wires-X and the FCS reflector. So in this example, we still have another station here that is using a simplex frequency on its DV4mini. What happened is that when it gets a signal from here, let's say the station here is transmitting, it goes through the internet and it goes to FCS 001. On the other side, the DV4mini that we have here is receiving the signal through the internet and is retransmitting through his antenna here. You don't only see the port, but there's an antenna that's supposed to be connected there. It receives the signal and retransmits it at the same frequency as the repeater. The repeater gets the RF from that DV4mini and then send it through the Wires-X network via the HRI-200 through air. What happened is all the stations that are here is receiving all the stations that come through FCS 003 on that port. And if the station here is transmitting, it will go through the internet to Wires-X, to the Wires-X box, to the repeater. The repeater will transmit it on this frequency that is here. Whoops, sorry. Will transmit on this transmit frequency that we have here. And this DV4mini will receive that information, the transmission of the Wires-X station, will send it back to FCS 003, sorry, the reflector on port 1. This will be sent back to the DV4mini air that will be transmitting the signal through RF to that radio. So here what you have is the two worlds bridged together. But remember, don't get confused. It's two different networks that a user decided to bridge together on one location, like I did for my repeater. So this is a setup that allows communication through the FCS reflector and communication to the Wires-X room Fusion Quebec group as well. So both worlds are communicating with each other. I did recently a video about DMR and C4FN cross mode. C4FN being the Yaesu System Fusion digital communication system. What I did is that I showed that you were able to connect to an FCS reflector with a DMR radio, and this video got confused a lot of users that were watching it and didn't understand, because in that video we have the two network. We have the Wires-X network, we have the DV4mini network or the FCS network, and I was using the Openspot and I added some functionality using the DMR radio, which is not supposed to be communicating with those devices because it's not using the same protocol. But in that video it was showing that the Openspot here was able to get on a simplex frequency a DMR signal and carry it through the internet in C4FM. That's mean this box is translating the DMR's digital signal to C4FM. In the reflector here, it's received as C4FM, goes through the DV4mini, that is retransmitted as C4FM to the repeater, and then go all to all the network and all the device that is connected at the same time to FCS 003 or the Fusion Quebec group room on Wires-X. So that was a functionality that there is in the Openspot. So this got a lot of people confused. So I hope this is clear to you now, that is possible with the Openspot to do cross mode between the two. But there's only one mode that is working. I didn't want to go through that in the beginning of the video, but there is in C4FN two different modes. There is digital narrow, which use 6.25 kilohertz bandwidth, and there is the 12.5 kilohertz bandwidth, which we call voice wide. It actually used the double of the bandwidth. DMR is using two time slots. It actually can have two different radio sharing, doing time sharing if you want, very fast, between two trunk group, which are 6.25 kilohertz. So in C4FM, if you are in DN, okay, digital narrow, sorry, in C4FM, here what it does is it's translating DMR through C4FM digital narrow, which use the same bandwidth, 6.25 kilohertz. That's why in the video I'm showing that it's only work when we use digital narrow. If you go through and use voice wide, then there won't be any audio. That's what I showed in that video. So I hope this clears some stuff out of you guys, and if you like this type of video, don't hesitate to ask me. Like I said, I did receive a lot of questions about how, you know, all the modes going through each other and through the network, what's the relation between FCS and Wires-X. That got a lot of people confused, and I know if I would have been new and I would have watched my cross mode video, DMR through C4FM, I will be completely lost, because this I take it to account that people that were watching that video were already digital user and already am radio. So I'm sorry about that, but if you have any question, don't hesitate. Every time you see a video you don't understand, you're interested to know what it is, just send me an email or just write in the comments below of YouTube and just tell me what you want and what you don't understand. It'll be a pleasure for me to do some explanation. So I hope that I did a good job today explaining that. And if you, like I said, don't hesitate to contact me if you have any question.
Hope you enjoyed this video. Once again, if you have any question, don't hesitate, go in the comments below, ask your question. I always answer to the question I get on YouTube. I also answer to all the emails I receive at info@va2pv.com. So on behalf of our team, I would like to wish you my best 73s.